I feel like an astronaut whenever I wear these
You should have stopped after the first syllable. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you play the audio backwards, it sounds like Swedish or Russian, at least to my untrained ear.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah.
It sounds like Russision, right?
Yeah, I hope
Or a really cool DJ scratching.
Or a not,
You're
your definition of really cool is suspect, dude.
talking to my wide goodness. That was my stage name from a previous episode. But today, I'm Scott Davenport.
Buenos noches. I'm Spencer Pablo.
No chase, yeah. And we're Photographers in Cars, our newest episode yet.
I hope my vest doesn't make too much sound for you guys.
You're also scratching.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like an astronaut whenever I wear these
You should have
things.
stopped after the first syllable.
I
feel like an ass.
Oh,
God.
oh my
Man,
God.
oh my gosh, you see all that stuff behind you? That's all those things that went over your head.
Get me on a day where it wasn't just like full of meetings with actual people who are dry. And I will be sharper.
I see. Okay. All right. Well,
so these
take that
vests
challenge.
here, these are, before owning them, I was like, why would anyone want to just keep their body warm, but their hands
Back to
are
the Future
fine?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Back to the Future thing.
So, I never understood these vests, but now that I own one, I'm like, oh yeah,
right.
You know what? It gives you just the right amount of warmth.
Yeah. And I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, all right. So, but we're not going to talk about any more clothing today. Our fashion choices aside. Scratchy. We mentioned backup in a few episodes ago. And so we should talk about backup. And what do we do? What options are there? What makes sense for a professional versus a hobbyist? All sorts of stuff.
Sure.
And so let's see, where to begin? Well, I wrote up everything that I do on my site, and it went up on Petapixel a bunch of months ago. So I can recap that, but I'm more interested to hear about your setup because it's similar yet different to mine.
Yeah. The backup strategies that we have, we're very similar, and it's at minimum you need to have at least like 3 backups.
That's the
Right.
fundamental like pillar, right?
Right.
If it's not in 3 places, it doesn't exist.
Right. So my backups hit multiple different destinations. So I take my SD card. I go to my computer and I start importing. Upon import, it starts copying local to my computer. The drive it's copying to has a listener. That listener says, hey, these are new files that are on this hard drive. Copies those bits over to a network attached storage. That network attached NAS. I'll just call it NAS. That NAS looks at it and it says, oh, cool. These are new stuff. Oh, by the way, these things, I'm now going to send that over to another NAS located elsewhere. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm also going to send it to another remote location, offsite backup. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm also going to send it to the cloud.
All right, so at the point of import for your raw photos, you've got it on the hard drive of your computer. Yeah, I'm not even going to count the SD card.
Yeah. That doesn't
Hard drive of your computer, it hits NAS drive number 1, NAS drive number 2. That's all in the same location. So you've got redundancy within one location. And then it hits NAS 3, which is at a separate location, undisclosed.
Right.
For security purposes, of course.
Oh, right.
And then it also goes to the cloud. So you end up with 4 copies on NAS's plus what's on your internal hard drive.
So
does your internal hard drive ever get like purged out? And
no, not really.
Okay.
Not really. I buy the most spacious drives I possibly can. So that is my
sounds like real estate.
Yeah. So those are I call them hot. That's my hot backup thing. And each one of my nodes, by the way, like, so my NAS, for instance, one of them is a 5 bay drive setup. So in that NAS, that singular node, if one of those drives goes bad, I can swap another one in that data. Actually, I think it's 2 drives. So if 2 of the drives in my 5 bay setup goes bad, I can swap them out and that data isn't lost. Now,
it can
3,
be rebuilt. Okay.
Yeah, it can so technically every one of the NAS devices also has its own type of backup, right? I call them hot because those are connected, they're energized, they're powered on. Now, I also have backup solutions that I rotate that are not updated as frequently.
Okay.
I put them in a fire safe, or I just put it, I give it to my wife. Before, this is what I used to do. I give it to my wife and she'd store it at her workplace or something like that.
Okay, sure.
So that's what I do.
All right. So, yeah, my strategy is similar, I think a little simpler. I don't keep anything so I've got the computer, which has its internal hard drive. Nothing I care about lives on the internal hard drive. Yeah. It's just applications, and if I dropped an Anvil on the computer, I wouldn't care. I just reinstall the application. I can download Lightroom again, download this, download that.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll just call them drives A, B, and C. So I got drive A, which receives all the raw material. My Lightroom catalog lives there. Any other metadata that goes with the stuff. That's one brick. And I've got a duplicate of the brick, drive B, also right in the house. Those are both hot, physically connected to my computer. A is the master, B is the clone, right? So there's always two copies of the data. Plus, I'll keep the SD card around until I know that I've gotten the photos to my third drive, which is just a typical external USB drive. I'm not as a prolific shooter as you. I'm not shooting weddings and couples and so forth, so I have less material to worry about. I'll plug that in once a week, so I get my third copy, and I won't format an SD card for a couple of months at least, so I know by the time I've gotten around to it. Again, I'm not a prolific shooter. I mean, I got a 128 gig card. I could put thousands of photos on that. On a typical photo shoot, if I come away with 50, that's a lot. So different model here.
Right.
But that third drive that stays in a fire safe in the house, and I have a duplicate of that at an off-site location in a safe deposit box in the bank, next town over. And so I'll flip that every month.
Okay.
So if the worst happened and the meteor from outer space lands on the house and everything's gone, I've lost a month worth of stuff, which sucks, but that's my tolerance level. I'm okay with that. Second worst thing is someone spills, like me, coffee all over my desk and both all my drives get fried. I've lost whatever it was for the week, but I probably still have everything in that SD card, and I've got the rest of it in the fire safe. So there's some work to do and to clean it up.
Okay.
I don't have a cloud solution because I haven't found something that
This is from Amazon.
Did Amazon just chime in because I mentioned the word cloud?
What?
That was creepy.
How?
Well, apparently Amazon would like us to talk about their cloud solution and why I don't use it.
I have never experienced that before. Let me turn that off.
Weird. Anyway,
oh my God. So
I don't have cloud because I have not found a good way for me to get. And again, I have maybe my working set of data is between 4 and 5 terabytes right now. I don't know how to get that into the cloud efficiently enough.
Okay.
At a price point that I'm willing to shell out month after month.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle with the cloud thing. So tell me more about what you do with your cloud.
So before we go there, I want to talk about what we've already laid out. Just kind of let's scratch the surface a little bit more on our local storage, right? Our local storage, not only do I have drive backup, so if drives go bad, I have versioning, and I think you do too.
To a degree, where if I've got what I had described, like drive A was the master and drive B was the clone. If I were to have an oops moment and accidentally delete all my photos, number one is I don't have that automatically being synchronized. So I won't automatically synchronize, meaning it's not gonna be done unless I press a button that says, please go sync my data now. Again, I'm not a prolific shooter. I'm not putting in tons of data into my machine every day. So once a day, I can hit the button and say, great, synchronize.
So the non-politically correct way of saying that is that's a master-slave kind of relationship.
I use the terms master-clone, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is decentralized. So at any point on any of these nodes, that are hot. I can remove a file, and all the other devices that are connected to it go, oh, hey, that file is gone. I guess the owner, me, wants it removed. So it'll delete it all over the place. Now, if I accidentally deleted it, I can go into that device and go, I deleted it on Monday. Let's go to Sunday, the day before. Let's go back. That's called versioning. Let's go back to that day. So it keeps it. And by default, my NAS device has kept 32 revision histories.
Okay.
That takes up a bunch of
Takes
space.
a lot of space.
So I've shrunken it down to, I want to say 5. And I think I'm comfortable with 5.
So yeah, so I do have a protection for that, because there's the thing of, if I know I accidentally deleted something, it's like, oh, well, I'll just go back and get it from the clone and I'm good.
Sure.
But if you don't, and then it's 2 months later and you realize, hey, where's this, the shoot from Christmas?
Yeah.
And it's you're lost. What I do have set up is I use a software called ChronoSync. It's Mac only, I think, but it keeps revisions. They call them archives.
Okay.
And so if I've deleted something, yes, that deletion will be synchronized, but the deleted files move into an archive, and I'll keep 2 levels of archives for half a year or something like that. So there's you have some opportunity to realize you've messed up.
Yeah.
It's never going to be 100% foolproof, because while someone's out there building better software, I'm at home building the better idiot.
So for mine, it gives me a calendar view, so I can go back a year and a half, and I'll just drive down to that particular directory, and I'll be like, hey, the directory for 2015, I was in Oregon, what was it, May? So go to May 2015, and I'll go to there on my NAS device, and it'll say, hey, you want to see your deleted device? You want to see your deleted folder, deleted items, and it'll show me, and then it'll be like, okay, all of these things here over the past 2 years, you have you have activity on these 7 days, and I can go back 7 days spanning the past 2 years. So it'll graphically give that to me. So
it sounds similar to how Apple's Time Machine works, which works great for backing up like the drive in your machine.
Sure.
It gives you a very nice, a slick Apple interface. Really nice view of all your different revisions and so forth. But yeah, that's nice. That sounds good.
So I wanted to talk about that because I wanted to talk about our local storage first, and then that's it.
Okay, so that's local.
Now cloud. So cloud. Okay, let me pick a number out of the air that is fairly accurate. I think I have about 10 terabytes of data that resides on the cloud. Now, 10 terabytes. How long would that take you to upload?
It would really be limited by the service receiving the data. I've actually got a pretty good internet pipe upstream.
Okay.
And I pay for that.
For me, it would take about a quarter of a year.
Because, to give you an example, I can upload a terabyte video to Facebook in 6 minutes.
Dear God.
But
I want your internet.
But Facebook is designed to receive that, and they want it quick. YouTube's about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas if I were to upload 10 terabytes of data to, say, Dropbox, I use Dropbox for some things, they don't receive data as quickly. So it would really be dependent on what's the receiving end going to do, and are they going to realize, wow, you're sending us a whole lot of stuff, we're going to throttle this down and slow it down. So I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to guess several weeks at a minimum, potentially longer.
Yeah.
And I would need to have my machine on the whole time for that.
And electricity can cost depending on how much horsepower your computer has.
I want to come back to the potential hidden costs with using a cloud service. I'm not against cloud services at all, but I think it's a matter of knowing what your tolerance level for loss is, because really now I've got a tolerance of as often as I'm willing to go to the local bank and swap my discs. Yeah. I'll make sure I do that every month. Sometimes I do it every 2 weeks.
Okay.
But anyway, so more about you get this 10 terabytes in the cloud. What are some of the cloud options? Because the only one I've vaguely looked at is Backblaze.
So Backblaze is kind of the Backblaze. I think gained popularity when they came out a couple of years ago with their hard drive reliability tests.
Oh, they're the ones that
do that, because what they do is they just use a bunch of different brands, and then at the end of every year they come out with their findings, and they go through thousands of drives, so they're like, hey, by the way, these are the These are the storage devices. And for a while, they're the reason why I buy HGST hard drives for my NAS.
Oh.
The HGST is now a Western Digital company, but you tend to pay a premium for their drives. But for, I want to say 2015, their reliability, their failure rate was like 1% or below. In 2015,
good.
I want to say Seagate's 3 terabyte drives was around 40 to 50% failure rate. That's massive.
That's huge, yeah.
And
I would expect something in the neighborhood of 5. I mean, eventually it's going to die.
Yeah, it was that particular 3 terabytes. Anyway, so that the Backblaze that's how they became popular. There used to be a consumer version of this. It's called Crash Plan, but now they went full pro. So I think it's Crash Plan now for business.
Like enterprise or for business, something like that, right?
Yeah, or I think it's crashplanpro.com is their site, right? Okay. And then Synology, just the makers of my NAS devices, they also entered the cloud backup game. And they are pretty inexpensive. I think they start at something like $10 a year for their smallest space.
Mm-hmm. So what's the smallest space? Like terabyte or?
No, maybe a couple gigs. I don't know.
Okay.
I think 1 terabyte costs 50 or 60.
Because I know like for Dropbox, a terabyte is $100 a year.
Okay.
It's like okay,
sure.
You know, so it's all right. It's not great. It's not terrible.
Yeah. So those are the companies that I would recommend for you to archive your stuff. There are some folks out there there are some vendors out there that provide you with faster access. Azure, for instance.
Okay, Microsoft's.
Yeah, Microsoft's. Google has their own solution. Amazon has the S3. Those can get expensive, so I priced it out, and I want to say for a year it would cost me over $1,000 or something like that.
Right, exactly.
So I know Amazon has a slower version, also provided under the Amazon Web Services, and it's appropriately called Glacier. So it's meant for archiving, and you pay extra when you have to get that data back. But it's really meant for just kind of like long-term storage. Yep.
So. Have you looked, because one of the other things that comes to mind with cloud and photography is synchronicity across, devices, so doing this kind of stuff. Like I use Apple Cloud for just personal family photos. And what do we have? Like, I don't know, I want to say it's like 50 gigabytes and it's $3 a month.
Okay.
And for, snaps with the iPhone and so forth, perfect, great, wonderful. Adobe's cloud, I couldn't afford.
They're pricey
to do the amount of data that I have, and so that's kind of where it gets into. Kind of steering the conversation into looking at what do you have that you want to back up. What's your risk tolerance? How much are you willing to? And I'll really say that as like new stuff. How many new things are you willing to potentially lose? And then what are the additional costs around besides? Okay, I got a cloud service, and that's great. How much does the storage cost? I can calculate that. But then how long does it take to get all the data up there? Do I need to increase the speed of my internet connection?
Yeah.
Will the ISP charge me more because I'm suddenly trying to pump 4 terabytes of data upstream or 8 terabytes upstream?
And they only give you
and they cap you at a terabyte or something.
Yeah, and they're like, you use more. Well, now I'm going to charge you per.
It's like on the phones, like if you've got a certain data plan, and then they say,
you went over.
Cost. Yeah, exactly. You went over. We're going to charge you another $10. You mentioned the electricity. I have to leave my machine on. If I have to leave it on for 20 days in a row to get everything up there in the first time. That's expensive. Is it a piece of software that runs on the computer versus in your storage device?
Yeah.
And I don't have any answers for any of these things. These are the things to think about.
Absolutely. So there are some solutions. Some of the cloud services out there actually allow you to run the backup straight from the NAS, which is nice. Some of them do not. And I want to say, like, for instance, Crash Plan does not. You actually need an active PC connected to it that is going to be the intermediary that copies the data.
I would argue that most of the cloud services are like that, where you have a piece of software that runs on your computer.
Yeah, so there's a few of them out there that do not. Google has one that runs as an app on smarter NAS devices, like QNAP or Synology. So
Okay, so they've written something to run on a variety.
So Google
of
has one.
products.
Obviously, the Synology one would support a
Drobo be in there? I know Drobo's a popular.
You know what? I only have a Drobo DAS, a direct attached storage.
Okay.
I don't have a NAS. Yeah,
we had
so
to give it a
weird,
name
man.
once we had network attached storage.
So
It should have been non-NAS.
I-
NAS.
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 So, you know what? I bought the Drobo as a curiosity, and it was on sale on some Black Friday thing. But I'm finding myself, I don't know. It's proprietary. Their backup. It's not RAID, right?
Well, as far as I understand it, everybody's box is some way,
Can
shape, or form
potentially
be
have-
proprietary.
Yeah, or you can adopt RAID, or you can adopt whatever they may have. So, like, I think Synology has something called hybrid redundancy, which is their proprietary one. But they also do support RAID, the textbook
But
RAID.
that's why you buy two. You know, if the
Yeah.
enclosure dies, that you have the second enclosure.
Yeah.
You would need to do that. For
I
any
don't think
type of-
Drobo has that. I think Drobo is literally,
Drobo
it's,
might be secret sauce. You know, like
Yeah.
just we do stuff,
yeah.
and you buy two of them. That's why you buy two of them.
So the nice thing about Drobo, though, is you can put drives of different capacities in there, and it's going to do the calculation and allow you to do that. So you can put a 5 terabyte, I don't know if that exists, 4 terabyte drive, a 2 terabyte drive, a 3 terabyte drive,
Right.
and it's going to calculate that, and you'll have some type of redundancy. Whereas on other typical RAID solutions, if you put a 4 terabyte drive and a 2 terabyte drive and another 2 terabyte drive, it's going to be like, oh,
Lowest common
yeah.
denominator.
So the rest of your 4 terabyte drive is going to go.
We got to go back to cloud. We got stuck on the NAS.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
So where were we? So running your cloud backup from your actual
Right.
storage device. So I
So
would
the-
assume that a storage device will draw less power than a computer. So that's a plus.
It runs cooler. Doesn't have a
Yeah.
video card. It's typically
exactly.
headless.
Yeah. Yep.
But you also did bring up another point. So we were talking about how long will it take for us to feed our initial. Let's call it a seed.
Seeding the cloud.
Yeah.
That's the whole visual. I think a guy driving around in a biplane dropping stuff in
Yeah.
the cloud.
So
anyway.
there are some vendors out there, the cloud vendors out there, that will send you a hard drive. And you'll copy it locally, and then you'll wrap it up and send it back. And then some of them charge, I don't know, like $75 or $100. Some may actually do it for free. So that's an option as well. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to sit there, but actually, did I say someone will do it for free? I don't know too many that'll do it for free.
I'd be surprised if it
I think
were
the
for
recovery
free.
is the free. The recovery can potentially be free. So you have to weigh the cost about, hey, do I want to spend $100 for them to send me a hard drive and then I'll send it back to them? Or do I want to just kind of sit with my computer on nonstop for a month or two?
So you may or may not know the answer to this, because I just not researched the cloud companies enough. Do any of them publish their, I'll call it their data acceptance rates? Like, will we be able to take an in-feed of this many megabytes a second or something like that, assuming that you're able to pump it out that fast?
Oh no, you know what? I don't know.
Because I'm trying to think of like, all right, if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sharpen my pencil, I'm gonna start trying to figure out what the costs are. That would be something that I would want to know. Like, I know my internet connection can handle it, but
you want to know if they're the bottleneck.
but can they? Well, I want to know what the slowest point in the chain is, so
right.
that you can calculate time.
Oh yeah,
And I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is.
That's not a metric I've actually ever thought about, but I would guess that those big cloud companies out there, they have a huge pipe.
They would need to, I would
Yeah.
suppose. Otherwise, they wouldn't really still be a viable service.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the bottleneck would actually be your connection to the network of some sort, or you can plug in, drive right next to their building, and then plug in some type of 10 gig Ethernet into them, and then see if that works.
Or you could take your entire setup to one of those oil derricks that they're building out in the Atlantic, because it puts you that much closer to the center of the internet. I'm not kidding about that. Wall Street's doing stuff like that because microseconds mean dollars.
Oh my gosh. I just learned something.
Yeah, but that's when you have at that point cloud backup is not your cost problem. You've got a different thing.
So we spoke
that's cool.
we spoke a bunch of like little details and things you guys need to know about, but the takeaway I want our viewers or our listeners to have is backups are important. Go do it, and don't make sure backups are in different locations.
Yeah, like I said that we said at the top of the show. The old adage is if it's not in 3 places, it doesn't exist. And one of those places needs to be outside of your house, even if it's with your friend, with your brother. I use a bank vault. It doesn't matter so long as it's outside of your immediate room. So
I also tell a lot of folks, hey, the ones that you do have local on site, put it in a safe. Put it in a fire safe, because heaven forbid something happens to your house, at least you'll have, and don't buy one of those like cheap safes. Have one that, I think it's rated per hour. Have something rated at like, not hour, minutes. Have something rated at like a 45-minute burn.
Oh, this was somebody who had experience in like fire suppression systems and all this, told me, and I do this at home, is take the drive and put it in a Ziploc bag and include those little packets that come in the safe that absorb water. Because I guess how the safe works is it will do something with humidity and so forth to keep the stuff from burning, but things can get wet.
Yeah, that's very true.
So papers will dry out. Your hard drive won't. And so, putting in a plastic bag and just throwing the little desiccant thing in there, it's probably not foolproof, like nothing ever is. But
no, we can keep going on the details.
We could, but something just flew into my eye.
Oh.
And we can't keep going unless I'm going to be Popeye the rest of this.
Well, the thing is, so like,
show.
In my fire safe, I have this huge desiccant brick that I have to, and it's color coded, and it says, "Hey, when it's, I forget what color it is. Maybe I should look. Take me out, plug me in, so then that way I generate heat, or whatever moisture I grabbed, I'm going to evaporate, and then put me in, and I'm good for another month or 2.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, desiccant is a big one, but yeah, definitely have it in a plastic bag because
they found us.
Oh no.
I don't know how they found us. Run, Forrest Spencer!
We better go. We better go. So that's backup. Backup is important. Do it.
Yes, please do it. And if you got interesting backup stories or know something about some of these cloud services that we didn't cover, let us know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, guys.
See y'all later. Scratchy, scratchy.